Hey everyone, Gaijin Goomba here, and welcome to the very first episode of Game Exchange Culture Shock Edition. To explain, in my research that I do for Game Exchange, I'll oftentimes find some really interesting cultural reference in a game, but it wouldn't be substantial enough to make a full episode around it. However, it's still really fascinating information, and I figured instead of just dumping it all in the trash, I could start a sub-series of quick 2 to 3 minute videos explaining these culture chunks. So basically just a jolt of culture, if you catch my drift. So to kick off the first episode, let's dive back into one of my favorite scouring grounds for cultural references, Mario. Specifically, Super Paper Mario for the Wii. In Chapter 6, you arrive at the Sammer Kingdom inhabited by the Sammer guys. It's fairly obvious that the level design and names of the residents are leaning towards a reference to Japanese culture in general, but there is one reference involving these guys that is incredibly subtle, yet very powerful. After you complete the game, you have the option of participating in the Duel of 100 tournament, wherein you do battle with 100 different Sammer guys. What you probably didn't know is that this is a reference to a real-life event called the Hyakunin Kumite, or 100-person sparring. It's an event used in many martial arts in Japan as an ultimate test of mental and physical endurance, where one spars up against 100 different opponents individually. And not against opponents of equal or lesser quality, mind you. Higher-ranking members of the dojo will also act as opponents. The individual matches don't last longer than maybe 2 minutes, but that still means you're spending 3 to 4 hours sparring against multiple opponents. Between 1965 and 1999, only 14 individuals from around the world were able to outlast their 100 opponents and complete the test. Nowadays, there's a 50 and 20-man variation of it, but the 100-man kumite is still seen as the ultimate test in martial arts. In parallel, your fights with the individual Sammer guys don't last terribly long, but it's quite a fight getting from the first challenger to King Sammer himself. Sounds crazy how that comes together, right? And that's all I have for this episode of Game Exchange Culture Shock. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you'd like to see more of these little tidbits, just let me know. I've got a pretty big backlog of culture scraps that I could use. But until then, this is Gaijin Goomba signing out.